You guys have been working on cylinders, vases, then mugs, now jugs. You guys did a little research yesterday. And so what I want to do is just give you a little background on the form and also a demonstration of the technique, tie in some of your ideas that you're developing. So the inspiration for jugs for me began when I was a kid, because I spent my summers on my grandparents' farm up in northern Minnesota, and they harvested and farmed wheat and barley. So every summer I'd spend my time there working, in August especially in the fields, helping out with the harvest. I would drive the grain trucks back to the farm and offload the grain into granaries. And my grandfather and uncles would run the combine, and we'd take lunch breaks. And my grandfather, the first time I really paid attention to and noticed the use of a handmade vessel was a large stoneware jug that my grandfather used to drink water. It would keep the water cool throughout the day. And the thing about it that made me interested in the jug was that he used it in a way I hadn't expected or ever seen before, where he grabbed the handle of the jug, rested the jug on his forearm, drank from it kind of like that, right? So it was an unusual way to use and address the piece, and it just kind of like stuck in my mind. I had no idea I'd be interested in doing clay work myself, but fast forward a little while, and I had just built a large kiln in my house in 2011, and it was a larger kiln than I had been firing previously, and I needed to fill it up, and I wanted to fire it. I wanted to fire it a lot of times. So I thought about what forms I could make kind of quickly to focus more on getting to know the kiln than focusing totally on my clay work itself. So I decided to make planters, because I had a background in horticultural pots, and bowls, because they were what sold the most when I was doing it full time on my own business. And then I decided to do jugs as well, because jugs were popular in the old days, and they were a form that I was a little ambiguous about at the time, but I decided to make them because they were quick and maybe I could learn something from them. And then over time, I began making jugs for most firings, and gradually I came to kind of enjoy the form, and it became not just something to help me fill the kiln, but became one of my favorite pieces that I worked through a little series of them, most firing cycles, making cycles. So it starts off just slightly wider base, and then I'll draw it up into a tapering cylinder, kind of like a lot of other pieces are, like the vases, for instance, recently. And one of the things I've been noticing lately, I think I might have mentioned previously, but really thinking about that pressure on the inside of your hand to help get that clay thinned and drawn up at the base has really been helpful for me lately, and seeing a difference in the heft and balance of my pots, something you guys could consider. So I've got it up and into a tapering cylinder. The thing I want to think about next is just that angle of departure, like we talked about with the vases. I want to come off the floor and into the sidewall at just a slight angle, very slight, and then about at the halfway point or so, I'll begin tapering inward toward the neck, and trying to keep that neck as small and tight as I can at the moment. Before I start really shaping it, I want to take a little bit of that extra clay away. I hope you guys will all consider using the undercut to your advantage. It gets that little bit of clay at the base you can't get to with your fingers usually. So in shaping the jug, I'll get as low as I can using the sharp point on the rib to create just a little implied foot there, and applying pressure to the rib on the way up. Thinking about that gentle taper or coming back in at about the halfway point. I'll arrive at the basic form, and a lot of times I'll come in and take away a little bit more of that clay to diminish that foot a little, while still leaving a little ledge foot there. And then the next thing is to bring the neck into more jug-like proportion. So I'll come in, get rid of that water, because I'm going to be closing it off now, so I want to make sure all water's out of the inside. And then I almost treat this neck as a pot on top of a pot, and that I'll be focusing just from here up. So I wet that area using a 6-point collar, fingertips, thumb tips, and first knuckle on my center finger. It may be a little awkward at first, but once you can figure out how to get those 6 points to touch together, I just kind of think of continuing that thrown line while tapering that neck a little bit. So I don't want it to be too abrupt or anything. I want it to just be a continuation of the body into the shoulder, neck, and lip area. Once I have the width I want, a lot of times I'll come in and use a pinky pull to draw that clay up a little more because it thickens as you collar it, right? And just like with the jugs, I want to taper that lip a little bit by bringing a point to the outside edge, using my fingers like that, right? So I can continue with shaping the form with my rib and then just kind of bump it over that rounded edge. That right like that, finish that top. Give a little bit of an undercut, and that's the Jugs form complete. You guys stay tuned for just 1 second. I have another step for you. So that completes the making of this form. I want to show you what I do to them once the piece have firmed up just a little bit. And so what I'll do is I'll grab one I made a couple hours ago. Looks like this is set up just a little bit. So I like to come in and give these a little bit of life because it's a pretty simplified form on purpose. So I want to do this indenting. So I come in and give it a good indent. I've been going with 3 sides to the indentations lately. So with the handle on this tomorrow, we'll have a piece that has some character, and also those indentations not just add to the form, but they also encourage interesting things to happen in the firing. So that's it. That's what I wanted to share with you guys.